This is Valerie Guillaume, and what I'm about to say in this video it's very disturbing because I'm going to be exposing, uh, as usual, um, the human rights abuses happening in Canada. And I'm going to specifically expose in this video the people who are responsible for carrying out torture against me in a most recent situation that I'm in currently. So the first thing that this video is going to do is going to shatter the pristine image that Canada has in regards to what it has misled the world to believe, that it enforces human rights, it protects human rights, when that is not the case. It carries out torture. Let me repeat it again. Canada carries out torture. It also carries out crimes against humanity, against some individuals like me. This is what I'm facing currently. And this is being carried out by some government officials at the regional level or the local levels of government. But I'm also going to implicate some government officials in higher positions, because when I contacted them to get involved, right? Because that's what you do as a member of the public. When you have certain issues, you're told to get in touch with your elected officials because you know, that's what you do. But they don't respond. So I am here to expose Caroline Parrish, who is the mayor of Mississauga in Ontario, in the region of Peel, Mississauga, region of Peel, Ontario. She's a racist. She's a Caucasian and she's a racist. Unfortunate that the people in the region of Peel, Mississauga, has her for a mayor. She's no good. Then you have Deepika De Marla, who is a city councillor. I personally believe she's a racist. That's been my experience with her, as well as my experience with Caroline Parrish. For instance, I contacted their office last week, both of them. They have not even shown me the courtesy of responding to my inquiry. Okay? And they're all aware of the situation because they're part of regional council. And regional council is above Peel, region of Peel housing, okay? Which is the situation that I am facing right now. There are persons in Peel Regional Housing. It's actually a corporation. It's called Peel Region of Peel Housing Corporation. It's a corporation. Most of these cities are corporation. Even the damn country of Canada is a corporation, although some people don't want to believe that, but that's the reality. That's what some of us believe. So let me just keep focus here. So what happened is that I lost my home, so I was staying in a shelter in the region of Peel, in Mississauga, at a Salvation Army shelter. And while there, I got an apartment. And so the landlord went back on the rental agreement contract. I had a moving date, and he went back on the rental agreement contract. So I went to the court and I got an injunction against him to stop him from renting out the apartment. The judge, Justice Andre, granted me the injunction, which is not an easy remedy to get from the court, by the way, because it's an equity relief remedy, discretionary, based on the discretion of the judge. However, the judge in this case realized that I would suffer irreparable harm because I'm in the shelter, and I have suffered irreparable harm, but it gets even worse How it gets worse? Because a few days after the judge issued the injunction against the legal proceeding that I have currently before the court regarding the landlord, um, I got a letter from Christian Commons telling me that I must exit the shelters because, in her view, I have been in the shelter system long enough. Okay, which is not really true. But she has personal vendetta against me because I've made complaints about her. Okay, and also she's abusing her power, and she herself is a racist. So she sent me that letter stating that I must exit the shelter on April 9th, which was last Wednesday, and that on the day that I'm supposed to leave, I would be relocated outside of the region of Peel. And also, another thing that she did in her letter to me was to end my housing subsidy in the region of Peel. Now, the apartment that I have currently is in the region of Peel. The housing subsidy is from the region of Peel. So what she basically tried to do is to obstruct justice. What does obstruct justice mean? At least under Canadian law, someone who attempts to obstruct, pervert, or defeat the course of justice in a legal proceeding. That's exactly what Christian Commons, who is a supervisor for shelters in Peel, region of Peel in Ontario, Canada, has done in my case. That is why she sent me the letter only days after I got the injunction against the landlord renting out the apartment. Because you see, her motive is that she wanted to force me to become homeless, which is the situation I'm facing right now. Not only did she force me to become homeless, she also blocked me from all of the shelters in Peel. And as I mentioned earlier, it also stated in the letter that I was to be relocated outside of the region of Peel. What she's tried to do effectively is to end my case with the landlord. In other words, to prevent me from getting the apartment and to force me to become homeless. Because when you move outside of the region of Peel to another region or another city, housing is such a big issue right now that they don't even have spaces in their own shelter in those cities or those other regions. How much more so regarding people coming from outside those cities or those regions? They don't have any housing. So she was basically trying to force me out on the street, literally on the street. Also, if she was successful in relocating me to another region outside of Peel, the region of Peel, I would have had to go now and apply for a new housing subsidy. And this is not something that's done regularly. They make the selection for housing subsidy like 3 times a year. So you're looking like another 4 months wait. First, I would have to be accepted in a shelter outside of the region of Peel, number 1. Number 2, after being accepted in the shelter, which they don't have this space because there are homeless people in those regions as well who need to get into those shelters. After being accepted in the shelter, I would then have to apply for the housing subsidy, which, as I just said, there's a selection that goes 3 or 4 times per year. So you're looking at waiting another, I believe, and I was passed over twice last year by the same woman, Christian Commons, for the housing subsidy. So they had one selection in March, and then they had another one in July, and then they had another one in October. So when she discontinued my housing subsidy, which the judge also knew about, which would then be applied to get in this apartment, okay? When she ended my housing subsidy, she tried to effectively end my legal proceeding before the court regarding the apartment. Then she also ended my stay in the shelter. And then she also blocked me from all of the shelters in Peel. Directly going against the court order, which the judge knew that I'm staying in a shelter in Peel, obviously, because the court is located in Peel, shelters in Peel, subsidies in Peel, everything has to do with the region of Peel. Yet this woman, in her audacity in trying to obstruct justice, knew, because I made sure I sent her a copy of the court order, the judge's endorsement. I sent it to all of them, because they were not viewing me as looking for an apartment, because I was so tied up in this legal matter with this current apartment. And so she wanted to abuse her powers. And she carried out that eviction. It's been more than a week. Then I come to the second part of the persecution that I'm going through. 2 days before April 9th, on April 7th, I filed an urgent motion to go before the court. The administrative staff at the court has been blocking my urgent motion, because I wanted the court to be aware that they intended to carry out an eviction against me on April 9th, against the court order, and the staff at the court blocked it. The administrative staff blocked it. I contacted Joanna Gianciano, who's the director of court operation. She did not even respond. I filed another motion for a mandatory order from the court on Friday, April 11th. They also did not bring that before the court. I was contacted by Ryan Eson yesterday, advising me, because they were insisting all along that you cannot file an urgent motion through email to the court, when that's specifically what the practice directions tell you to do. It will not accept online filing of any hearing less than 7 days away, and obviously an urgent motion is to go before the court the same day, at least mine. That's what it says in the laws, in the rule of civil procedure, the statute, the laws, that an urgent motion can be heard on any day before a judge. Yet they've held up my urgent motion. It's a long weekend coming up. I need my motion to go before the judge. And the conspiracy that's involved is that these people are trying to block my urgent motion from going before the judge, while these people are carrying out this human rights abuse and torture against me. Because shelter is a basic human need. It's a basic right, just like food and clothing, right? This woman and her supervisor and manager and housing director had no right to try to circumvent what the court was doing by A, asking me to leave the shelter, B, suggesting that they wanted to relocate me outside of the region, C, blocking me from all shelters in the region, so that I would then be forced to go outside of the region, while the court is still deciding on my legal matter before the court. This is something that the court don't know about right now, because they've been blocking my urgent motion from going before the court. So this is psychological torture, because I have some medical conditions that has been aggravated because of this situation. But I also wanted to expose the people who are directly involved. I want to expose Tanisha Lewis, who is the Director of Housing with the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing with the province, and the province is over the region, obviously. So I've had conversation with her, and I've contacted her and said, do you need to deal with this? She hasn't responded. None of them has responded, which is an insult to my dignity and my self-respect under the Human Rights Code and under other laws in Canada. So they're attacking me that way. I just came up against a wall of silence from everyone. I contacted the senator, Bernadette Clemens. I spoke to her assistants, who said she was going to make the senator aware of the fact that I was having problems getting my urgent motion before the judge, and also in regards to what Peel Region Housing has been doing in blocking me from all of the shelters and blah, blah, blah. So no response. I contacted Tanisha Lewis, no response, and she's the director of housing. She's in league with Christian Commons. Okay. She more than have the authority to contact Aileen Beard and Christian Commons and says, "Les, you need to remove this blockage and allow her to stay in the shelter in Peel Region, because her legal matter is in Peel Region right now about the very same issue, about the very same subject issue, which is housing, which is the apartment that's before the courts right now." So blocking me from all of the shelters, evicting me from one shelter and blocking me from all of the shelters in Peel. And then also saying that, "Oh, we want to relocate you outside of the region of Peel," is nothing but obstructing justice, because I made sure I served them with a copy of the order of the court. So they knew that this matter, this legal proceeding, is still before the court. The apartment is located in the region of Peel. The housing subsidies from the Peel Region Housing, which they also cut off, or Christian Commons also discontinued, for no justifiable reason other than to prevent me from getting the apartment. Right? So they cut off the subsidy, housing subsidy, which would cover the rent. I think the subsidy is like almost $2,500 per month for the rent. It's paid directly to the landlord, and she made sure she handed that. So the people who I am going to be charging before the ICC, and hear me well, when I drop these names, they're going to be charged, because I'm not foolish enough now to try to find some kind of reprieve from the court against them. Okay? These are the names of the people that I'm going to be charging in the ICC very, very shortly. Steve Jacks, who is the Commissioner for Human Services. Bernadette Clement, who is a senator, because I do not care about your position. Okay? Canada, to divert a little bit, Canada has signed a lot of treaties it has adhered to none. I don't care about your position, whether you're the Prime Minister or a Senator or a City Councilor or a Mayor or a Director. The rule of law is that no one is above the law. Period. So what they're doing is now they're mocking me. They're carrying out psychological torture. They know that I have serious health condition, forcing me to become homeless with my medical situation that are very, very serious, including high blood pressure, even a heart condition I have. I have very serious medical condition, documented. They know that, right? Diabetes, the whole thing. So they're aggravating my medical condition right now. These are the people that I will be prosecuting in the ICC for this most recent situation. Steve Jacks, who is head over Human Services for the region of Peel. Gary Kent, Bernadette Clemens, who's a senator. I also contacted, he may now be a former Attorney General, Viraj, because there was some political shift going on. Rob Flack, who is the new Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, definitely Rob Flack, because his office did nothing, and he's above Tanisha Lewis. Okay? He's the minister, she's the Director of Housing.